Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday morning. Hope yours is going well. We've got another Seahawks video to get to today, but first we just hit 4,210 subscribers to the channel. I want to give a shout out to all the subscribers. And special tip of the cap goes to the channel members, especially elite channel members Brandon McKell, Hasher, Salacious Crumb, Rye Guy, Brendan Nelson's Haircut, BGK Tigers, TVO, Austin Roberts, Scott Todd, PH Glass, Aaron Garrett, Arfman, 12th Man, Eli Bennett, Cassio Feria, Samoan, JoJo, and Rep the 206. All right, today we will be talking about a player on the Seahawks right now who has kind of sneakily worked his way into the conversation of one of the best and most valuable Seahawks of the post Legion of Boom era. This was not a player that we drafted. This was not a player we signed in free agency. He was a player that we stealthily acquired right before the trade deadline in 2017 and have since made him one of the most valuable cogs in our offense. I am talking about Duane Brown. And the reason why we're talking about Duane Brown is I saw something recently on field goals that got me thinking. All right. So let's go to this field goals article from yesterday titled Five Moves We Could Still Expect the Seahawks to Make This Offseason. And I don't read everything field goals posts, but this is the kind of content that I like. Talking about the little things a team can do to improve their chances to win a Super Bowl this year, even after the draft, after the first waves of free agency. So I checked it out. Let's go through real quick here. Okay, move number one, sign Jamal Adams to an extension. Yes, please. Like today, tomorrow, this week, please. Yeah, do it. Move number two, extend Duane Brown or at least add some void years to his contract. Let's come back to that one, okay? Let's come back to that one because that's what we're going to be talking about in this video. Move number three, add a veteran outside corner. Okay, if you want to. Move four, add a veteran center. Yeah, absolutely. Make it happen. Love it. Move number five, add a tackle on both sides of the ball. Technically, this is two moves. Yeah, I could go for that. Okay, so this article seems pretty on point. They also have some honorable mentions, messing around with Wilson's and Wagner's contracts, bringing back KJ Wright. Okay, fair enough. I'm good with all that, but let's zoom in on this one right here. Move number two, extend Duane Brown or at least add some void years to his contract. Now, when I first saw this move listed in this article, I was like, ugh. You know, my initial reaction was, who the hell wrote this thing? You can't be serious, right? But I'm sitting here thinking about this. I'm sitting here really thinking about Duane Brown the player, Duane Brown the career arc, and Duane Brown the left tackle, and I'm wondering if maybe I have drastically underestimated Duane Brown's staying power in the NFL. So let's talk about Duane Brown. He's a fantastic player. He was one of the best tackles in the league in 2020. He played all 16 games plus the playoff game. He was awesome. One of our best players. Possibly outside of Wilson and I guess I would say Metcalf. He could have been our best player. He's right up there with Wagner, Adams, Dunlap. He's special. Now, Duane Brown is about to turn 36. He will turn 36 right after the preseason ends and right before the season ends, actually. So, right before the season starts, he will be entering year 36 of his life. And I have made some assumptions about Duane Brown and his longevity in the past. I have looked at his age. I've looked at his seemingly lingering knee issues. I've just kind of looked at his contract, and last year I was convinced, well, more than a year ago now, I was convinced that 2020 was his final year, that he was going to retire after 2020, last year of his deal. And if he didn't retire, we were going to release him because he was due like 13 million. And if we cut him, we'd only owe him two. So I figured one way or another, 2020 was going to be Duane Brown's last year, and it hasn't even seemed to have been a consideration, right? As of right now, we have every reason to believe that Duane Brown will be the left tackle for the Seahawks in 2021. So he's already surpassing my expectations. He also kind of surpassed my expectations by playing all 16 games. In fact, the only time he's missed as a Seattle Seahawk is in 2019. He missed two games early and then three games late, including a playoff game. But other than that, I think he's started every game for the Seahawks since he got here. So, in staying on the field at 35 years old, he surpassed my expectations. And again, to reaffirm the fact that this dude is special, 2020 PFF grade 87.3. Boom. 2019, okay, 74.1. Still really good, but not amazing. 2018, 83. Yeah, this guy's a boss. So, this video is to ask the question, I underestimated Duane Brown's longevity once. Maybe I'm doing it again because as of right now, my assumption is Duane Brown is definitely going to retire after this year, right? It's the last year of his contract. He'll be 36 this year. He's got that knee thing going on, but maybe not. What if I'm wrong? What if this guy feels like he can play for like three more seasons? What if the knee issue that plagued him throughout 2020 is going to clear up? And even if it doesn't, it's not like that knee issue stopped him from having a career year in 2020. 87.3 PFF grade, two sacks allowed in a full 16 game season, two penalties. Yeah, he did all that with that knee issue. So, am I sleeping on Duane Brown's ability to stay in the NFL? Now, if you go back to the Field Goals article, they say at least add some void years to his contract. Now, I'm not really going to discuss that because if we have a need for money, putting void years on Duane Brown's contract is completely reasonable. It basically just kicks some of his cap hit to 2022 or 2023, which will be small potatoes because the cap is going to go up. So, adding void years to Duane Brown's contract if the need arises is not really anything you can have a debate on. That's just something this team could very logically do if they have a need to create cap space. But what about extending Duane Brown? So this video is really asking the question and pondering, would you be willing to give Duane Brown, say, a 2-year, $20 million extension, keeping him on the team through 2023? Now, I know we like Stone Forsythe around here. I like him too. However, we have, well, okay, let me go to the 90-man roster. This is up to date. I'm sorry. Um, we have a need at left tackle and right tackle in 2021, or excuse me, 2022, because both of our starting tackles are in the final year of their contracts. So if Duane Brown doesn't retire and actually does come back in 2022, Brandon Shell could still leave in free agency. So Stone Forsythe, if he looks good this season and shows he should start in 2022, you might see him start at right tackle. It's possible. I think he can do it physically. I think he can handle it. And you could see a scenario where Duane Brown holds down the fort at left tackle and Forsythe moves to right tackle. So, in terms of roster makeup, it makes sense, but does it make sense in terms of what Duane Brown can actually do? Could he still be good at 27 years old, or I'm sorry, 37 years old, or 38 years old? We've seen it before. Andrew Whitworth. We're familiar with this dude. He's a division rival. And he turned 39 in 2020. He was 39 years old as of the home stretch of games for the Rams last year. Now, look, maybe it's not the greatest example in the world because Andrew Whitworth got hurt last year. He did. He only played 9 games. He missed basically the entire second half of the regular season before fighting back for the playoff game. But he wasn't missing anything before that, really. 2017, he missed 1 game, and then he was a full 16 game starter at 37 years old and 38. Okay, he had one injury that cost him half the season in 2020 at 39. But we're not even talking about age 39 for Duane Brown. We're talking about 37, 38. And as for how Andrew Whitworth played these last few years for the Rams, 2020 shortened season, 89 PFF grade almost, zero sacks allowed. 2019, small dip, 72.8, still very good, only one sack allowed. 2018, 83.6, excellent, four sacks allowed, little higher than you would expect, but still in line with some of the best tackles in the league. So Andrew Whitworth beat Father Time. The Rams drafted his replacement a couple of years ago, and he hasn't been able to get on the field very much because of Whitworth hanging around. Another example from recent NFL memory, Jason Peters. Now, this guy's battled some injuries over the past few years. 37, he played 13 games. At 38, he played 8 games. I don't think he was on the Eagles roster at the start of the season, though. I think they had to sign him later on because of injuries to some other players. But this guy has made meaningful contributions as a starting left tackle for the Eagles over the last 3 seasons. And when he played, 2020, 67.6, solid, effective starter. Not bad at all. 2019, 82.3, very nice, very effective, 3 sacks allowed. 2018, 71.1, effective, solid starter, 2 sacks allowed the whole season. This was a 16-game season for him, by the way. So, lasting long as a tackle does happen. And I've spent a lot of time in recent uh, um, I would say even recent years, assuming that Duane Brown's career arc was going to follow a typical pattern and he would be lucky to make it through 2020 and would probably not make it through 2021, which is why I wanted to have him retire last offseason. But maybe I'm wrong. Now, there is the other side of this. I think a few people watching this video will recall what I'm talking about when I explore the career arc of one Walter Jones, the greatest offensive lineman and one of the greatest players in Seahawks franchise history, one of our Hall of Famers, one of the most important players this franchise ever had, locking down the left tackle spot for years. Now, Walter Jones in his heyday was clearly a better player than Duane Brown was, but they both made all pro teams. They both made a lot of Pro Bowls. So I don't think it's too unreasonable to compare these two players. And if you're like me, if you're old school, you remember. You remember how good he was during this part of his career. And then in 2007, he was 33. He missed one game, but he was still really good. He made all pro. He made the Pro Bowl. We went to the playoffs. We won a playoff game in 2007. He was still the guy. And then in 2008, it was over. I know he made the Pro Bowl in 2008, which was a farce, but anybody who watched the Seahawks in 2008 knows he was terrible that year. He could not protect the blind side at all anymore. He was just helpless out there. I remember him giving up 3 sacks in a game to DeMarcus Ware on Thanksgiving. That was basically the game that retired him. So we've seen a stud left tackle just lose it overnight. And I would hate to extend Duane Brown and then find out after the extension that, oh, he lost it overnight. Well, we've got an unfortunate contract situation we're sitting on right now. They say you would always rather move on a year too early rather than a year too late. And in order to do that, you have to guess when a player is going to be done. You have to say, I think this player is running out of gas now. We're going to move on now. If I'm wrong and he has more gas left, then oh well. But I think he's out of gas at this point. It's time to move on. So you don't get the luxury of being able to see that the player is washed up before you assume he's washed up, because by the time he is washed up, it's too late. But would you bet on Duane Brown being one of those guys who can beat Father Time, play well into his late 30s, and be worthy of an extension from the Seattle Seahawks this offseason to free up some immediate cap room and lock up the position going forward? And with that question, I'm going to go and get out of here. Peace out, go Hawks. Let me know what you think. Can Duane Brown do what Andrew Whitworth and Jason Peters have done? Can he remain an effective, quality player late into his career? Or is the Walter Jones light just going to snap off in the next year or two? Peace out, go Hawks. See you guys later.